The house on Maple Street was always quiet. The rooms were neat, the windows always shut. Emily sat by the window, holding a book in her lap, but her eyes were outside, watching the street. Her thoughts wandered. Her father, Thomas, sat in the next room in his favorite brown chair, rustling the newspaper with a frown. He was a man of few words and many rules. Her mother, Claire, moved quietly around the house, setting down a cup of tea on the side table. "Thank you," Thomas said, not looking up. Claire nodded, tucking a loose hair behind her ear. Every day followed a strict schedule. Emily woke up at 6, helped her mother prepare breakfast, and left for college. She came straight home after class. No detours. No chatting with friends. No social media accounts. Thomas believed discipline was everything. "Too much freedom leads to trouble," he would often say. Emily longed to go out with her classmates, to live like a normal young woman. But she dared not ask. Not unless she was ready for disappointment. One Friday evening, Emily tried. "Dad, my college friends are going on a short weekend trip. Just a day and night. Can I?" "No," Thomas said without even looking up from his paper. Claire looked at her daughter and wanted to speak. But she stayed silent, as she always did. Emily went to her room and closed the door. She looked at her bag, the empty calendar, and sat on her bed, tears rolling down quietly. Not long after her graduation, Thomas called her into the living room. "We found a good man for you," he said. "Comes from a respectable family and also they are rich. You will have a good, peaceful life. The wedding will be next month." Emily stared at her father and said, "But I don't even know him." "You'll learn to know him. This is how things are done in my house," Thomas said with an angry voice and left the room. Claire reached for her daughter's hand under the table but didn't say a word. The wedding was big and beautiful. The house was filled with music and lights. Emily wore a white dress, her veil long and delicate. She smiled for the guests and the camera. But inside, her heart was heavy. She was walking into a new life with a stranger, and her freedom was still not hers. Claire held her daughter's hand tightly before letting go at the door. "Be happy," she whispered, her voice trembling. 2 weeks later, Claire decided to visit an old friend. On her way back, she passed through the local park. That's when she saw Thomas. He was sitting on a bench, smiling. Next to him was a woman, tall, graceful, and unfamiliar. They laughed together, sharing tea from a flask. Claire stood frozen behind a tree. Her husband had never looked so relaxed. Back home, Claire couldn't stop thinking about the woman. Thomas had smiled in a way she hadn't seen in years. The next day, Claire asked casually, "Did you go to the temple today?" Thomas nodded. "Yes. Same as always." But Claire knew he had lied. The next Sunday, she followed him. She kept a distance as he walked out in his formal clothes. But instead of turning toward the temple, he went to the park again. He met the same woman. They sat closer this time. Thomas gave her something, a photo. Claire watched from behind a tree. Her hands trembled. Later that evening, when Thomas went out for a walk, Claire went to the attic. She pulled out the old steel box he kept locked. She found letters tied with red ribbon. Old photographs. One picture stopped her heart, a young woman holding a baby. Emily. But the woman wasn't Claire. That night, after dinner, Claire asked, "Who is the woman you met in the park?" Thomas froze. The spoon slipped from his hand. "I saw you," she continued. He looked at her and said, "Her name is Sarah. I loved her, before I met you." Thomas explained. He and Sarah had planned to marry, but his family didn't approve. They forced him to end it. After he left, she found out she was pregnant. Her family disowned her. Years later, I saw her again, he said. She was alone, with a newborn. I couldn't leave them like that. So I took the baby. Claire stared at him. You told me we adopted Emily. I lied. I'm sorry. I just wanted to raise her in a safe home. For the first time, Claire saw Thomas cry. He held his face in his hands. I was scared. Scared you wouldn't accept her. I thought I could keep it all hidden. Claire went into her room and locked the door. Her whole life felt like a lie. But then she thought of Emily's small hands in hers, her first word, her first step. She couldn't hate her. Not now. Not ever. She picked up the phone. Emily, she said, her voice soft. I miss you. I miss you too, Mom, Emily replied. I'll visit you soon. Claire said. A week later, Thomas collapsed while praying at church. A man called Claire. By the time she reached the hospital, it was too late. He was gone. Emily flew home immediately. She cried at the funeral. He was strict, but he loved us, she said. Claire hugged her tightly. The truth burned in her chest, but she kept it inside. 3 days later, Claire saw Sarah standing at the gate with a bouquet of wildflowers. I just wanted to see her one last time, Sarah said. She's doing well, Claire replied. I know, Sarah said. I won't come in. I just wanted to see her smile. She doesn't know, Claire said. Sarah nodded. And she never should. You're her real mother now. Claire's eyes filled with tears and she said. We both are, in different ways. Emily moved on with her life. Her husband was kind. She visited Claire often. They baked cookies, watched old movies, and laughed. Sarah lived a quiet life nearby, working at a shelter for women. Helping others helped her heal. Some days, Sarah would walk past the house. She'd see Emily gardening or playing with her son. She'd smile and walk away. Claire always saw her. They would exchange a quiet look of peace. The truth stayed hidden. Buried with Thomas. Claire never told Emily. Not because she was afraid, but because she believed love mattered more than blood. Claire held Emily's hand during storms. She cheered her on during tough days. She loved her more fiercely now, not because she had to, but because she chose to.